Taiwanese do not trust the USA. Shocking new poll. Whoa.
What?
The new poll suggests a majority of Taiwanese do not trust the US and wish to keep a distance from Washington. A new survey by Taiwan's Democracy Foundation that shows a majority of Taiwanese do not trust the US and are fearful they'll be pulled into a conflict between Washington and Beijing.
A majority of Taiwanese, yeah?
What?
So, CCP propagandist, how many people actually participated in this poll?
The survey consisted of 1,073 participants aged over 20.
1,073 people out of a country of 23 million. That's a tiny little fraction of the population. And this is supposed to be an accurate representation of Taiwan? This is laughable. I understand that when conducting this poll, that they probably interviewed a variety of people from Taiwan, but how can you jump to the conclusion that this represents the majority of Taiwanese people? It's a joke.
Taiwan cannot fully trust the United States and must keep a distance in order to avoid being involved in a conflict between China and the US. More than half, or 53%, agreed. Let me just say that again. More than half of Taiwanese locals agree that the US cannot be trusted.
Oh, 53%. So what's that? Like 568 people?
A vice chairman of Taiwan opposition party, the Kuomintang or KMT, is currently visiting China's mainland with a delegation who will meet with local officials and travel the country. The visit comes as a new poll suggests a majority of Taiwanese do not trust the US and wish to keep a distance from Washington. Today we'll also chat with friend of the show, Eric John, about his discussions with Taiwanese youth. This is report.
Man, this Chinese government propagandist is boring. It's quite funny because this is the same guy who had the cheek to say that I talk too slowly in my videos. Anyway, enough of the funny stuff. Let's get serious for a minute here. Now, straight off the bat, it's important to mention that this propagandist is linked to the Chinese government. That's right, he actually works for Shanghai Daily. Shanghai Daily is Chinese state media, and any media coming out of China is state-run. Therefore, he works for the CCP. He's Chinese state-affiliated media and proud of it.
First up, I want to show you. You said wear the affiliated, state-affiliated badge as a badge of honor. I've actually had some made. I don't know if you can see that. The people who want to have me branded and anyone else branded as China state media, Russian state media, they see it as a negative. So I really feel like I want to turn it around. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
He's literally on the payroll of the Chinese Communist Party, so any logical and reasonable person would conclude that the videos that he puts onto YouTube might be slightly biased towards the Chinese government, right? Anything he talks about has to be approved by the Chinese government, and he can't even slightly deviate from his narrative. For example, in the past, during one of his live streams, he couldn't even answer a question about a video that was critical of the Shanghai lockdown because it would get him in trouble with his boss, the CCP. Look at how this guy squirms when confronted with the question.
Oh, yes. There was a video that was being circulated around social media last night here mainly from Shanghai, featuring a few audio clips from, that were readily available online, put together into kind of a short film package, which touched on a lot of nerves. So, yeah, what's more to say? Alex, do you want to add anything to that?
Anyway, back to the main point. The poll that he used to draw his terrible conclusion is a very small poll. 1,073 participants out of a country of 23 million people are never going to be an accurate representation of the thoughts of these people, no matter how hard this propagandist wishes that it was. And I'm not going to say that the poll is useless, or polls in general are useless, but the way this guy uses this poll is solely to push his CCP narrative.
But her attitudes towards China's mainland don't appear to be supported by many Taiwanese. Last November, she was forced to step down from her role as party chair following an embarrassing local election defeat.
It's designed to make the Taiwanese people feel hopeless. So hopeless that they will start to think that being taken over by an authoritarian nightmare of a government is the only viable option. The fact is, Taiwan is a functioning democracy, and people have different political opinions, and they're allowed to express themselves, as this poll proves.
台北的未来，台湾的未来，台湾的明天，台北 number one!
And it's quite interesting that this Chinese government propagandist is using democracy as an example to promote the least democratic country, bar North Korea, on earth. Saying that the Chinese government is a little bit better than North Korea isn't exactly a compliment. China is about as democratic as a pride of lions surrounding a gazelle, and the gazelle tries to vote not to be eaten. Please, lions, don't eat me. This poll that he uses to support his argument is just one of a million polls about the topic of Taiwanese independence. There are so many polls out there that I could use to argue my case that the Taiwanese people want absolutely nothing to do with China. For example, this little chestnut from New Taipei City's Guoli Zhengzhi Dashi. This survey interviews a far broader range of Taiwanese people than the one used by the CCP propagandist, taking into consideration weight, age, education, and geographic location. We can also see that this survey has been ongoing since 1992, and the number of people surveyed are in the tens of thousands. This is useful because we can see how people's opinions have changed over time. The survey tackles the important question of Taiwanese people's stance on unification with China, but I don't want to bore you or myself with the details, so I'll leave a link in the video's description so you can go and have a proper look in your own time. But I do want to point out the most interesting part of this survey, in my opinion, which is the changes in the Chinese-Taiwanese identity of the Taiwanese people over the years. It seems that the Taiwanese people no longer identify as Chinese, with a whopping 60% identifying as Taiwanese and only 32% identifying as both. This to me shows that the Taiwanese people are moving away from their past with China and moving more towards independence. I could make a whole video about it, but at the end of the day, it's just one little poll out of so many. And I'm not just only going to use one poll to argue my case in a video. That would be ridiculous and exactly the same as what this CCP propagandist does. I also decided to run a little experiment of my own. I posted 2 of my own polls on my YouTube community tab, and I actually had a bigger response than the poll the propagandist used in his video. I asked 2 questions. The first question is, which country do you trust the least, China or the USA? 1,800 people answered the question, and 97% said that they trust China the least. The second question was, if China invades Taiwan, do they think the USA will help Taiwan? 1,500 people answered, and 84% of people surveyed believed that the USA would help Taiwan if China attacks. So should my poll be taken as irrefutable proof that all Taiwanese people don't trust China? It was Taiwanese people that answered the question because the majority of my subscribers are from Taiwan, and it got a bigger response than the poll used by the propagandist. But obviously, this tiny little poll cannot be used to represent the whole of Taiwan. Do you want to know why? Because the Taiwanese people have a variety of political opinions. That's the amazing thing about Taiwan, is that the people are allowed to voice their opinion on politics, and this is something that people like the propagandist are afraid of, because he knows that the same can't be said for the people in the country that he champions so much. I dare this guy to have an opinion that is critical of the government there, and let's see what happens to him. It won't be pretty. Anyway, why even look at a poll to see what the Taiwanese people are thinking? Just go there and ask the people yourself what they think of the continuous threats from China. This guy clearly thinks that Taiwan is a part of China, right? So just pop on over there, mate, with your copy of Xi Jinping's Fort or Mao's Little Red Book and see how you get along. The people in Taiwan, they might welcome you. They could possibly tell you that they like China. They might say that they hate China. Or they might even say they're somewhere in the middle, because they're allowed to have political opinions and they can even vote for things. One thing I can guarantee you will never happen in Taiwan is that they will say that they want to be ruled by the Communist Party of China. Not a chance. Even if that silly poll he said is correct, and the Taiwanese people are losing trust in the USA, it doesn't mean that the people of Taiwan want to be ruled by China.
最近很多外国人在中国，他们说台湾是中国的一部分。你同意吗？不同意。不同意。好，谢谢。我也不同意。谢谢。不客气。
During KMT Vice Chairman Andrew Tsai's ongoing visit to the mainland, the delegation met with the head of Beijing's Taiwan Affairs Office.
As far as I can see, the KMT vice chairman visiting China is nothing but one big farce. Sure, you can talk about peace, status quo, cross-strait relations, and all of these buzzwords, but the fact of the matter is, China wants to control and take over Taiwan, and will try to do so by all means possible. Realistically, China would like to take over Taiwan with as little effort as possible, and this is why they're spending huge amounts of cash on this ridiculous propaganda campaign, and the propagandist in this video is just part of the problem. China knows that if they start a war with Taiwan, then they will become another Russia, which wouldn't end well for them, trust me. But make no mistake about it, China is a threat, and they might try to do something incredibly stupid if they're forced to. Listen to the words from the Chinese Emperor for Life himself, Mr. Winnie the Pooh.
解决台湾问题是中国人自己的事，要由中国人来决定。我们坚持以最大诚意，尽最大努力，争取和平统一的前景，但绝不承诺放弃使用武力。保留采取一切必要措施的选项。这针对的是外部势力干涉和极少数台独分裂分子及其分裂活动，绝非针对广大台湾同胞。国家统一、民族复兴的历史车轮滚滚向前，祖国完全统一一定要实现，也一定能够实现。
Now that doesn't sound like somebody that you want to be friends with, Taiwan.
Hey, how you doing?
So in conclusion, this CCP propagandist is desperately trying to find any proof that Taiwan wants to become a part of communist China. He used one little poll representing a tiny fraction of Taiwan's population and used it to push his own awful agenda for his boss, the Chinese Communist Party. He didn't use any other evidence to substantiate his bogus claim. He's clutching at straws and thinks that his audience will be easily duped by his lame propaganda. Who on earth is his audience anyway? Because isn't YouTube banned in China? He's demonstrated some real sloppy journalism, and he's one hell of a sloppy journalist, but then again, I wouldn't expect anything else from a journalist that works for Chinese state media. Would you? Now, we can all use surveys and polls to push our agenda, just like I did in today's video, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what this propagandist thinks, or even what I think. What truly matters is what the Taiwanese people think, and that they continue thinking for themselves and exercising their political freedom. Something that the Chinese Communist Party would never allow, and something that the Taiwanese people should always fight for.
No! No! No!
Thanks for watching today's video, and please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel. It really does help. Running this YouTube channel has always been a passion project for me, and I love making videos for all of you, and I will always post on here as much as I can. With that being said, it does take a bit of effort to make these videos, and YouTube doesn't really compensate content creators the way that they should. Even if the videos get thousands of views, the money that you can earn is really low. That's why I'm asking each and every one of you if you can please consider becoming a YGZ patron. You can join for a small monthly subscription of £3 per month, and you will have access to bonus content, and you can also personally contact me. If monthly subscriptions aren't really your thing, then you can send a one-off donation through PayPal me, or you can buy me a coffee. You'll find the links to do all of this in the video's description and on my channel banner. Thank you for your time. I appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video.